Hey, this is TimmyG. Welcome to Producing with Logic Pro Stock Plugins, Episode 6, where I make dubstep only using stock plugins in Logic Pro. In my previous videos making tracks with only Logic Pro stock plugins, I kind of just record my voice as I go and don't really do a whole lot of edits. But that takes a lot of time, and I wanted to make this video a little bit quicker. So what I did is I just made the track, and it took me, 2 or 3 hours, and now you're hearing my voice recorder with a typed script over this. If you want to download this project file, the link will be in the description below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Anyway, let's get going. I started out with the mono synth, and I was playing super low notes that were making some pretty cool rhythmic noises, so I decided to go with that. Weird thing to start with, I know. Then I EQ'd out the super low frequencies and then pitched it up a ton using a bunch of pitch shifters. After toying with the sound a bit, I added the Fat Effects plugin and used one of my heavy presets. Next thing I did was soft clip it using the Bit Crusher, which I use on most of my instruments these days. I bounced the file into place and then cut it up to make a rhythmic pattern, and I added some speed up and slow down time to fatten it up. Then I made an outline for what the bass drop might look like. I added a kick with a short build-up pattern to where the drop would eventually be, and did a basic outline of the kick and snare combo. I added a clap to double up with the snare, and added some echo and reverb. Then I worked on the cymbals and hats. Next, I went back to the original synth and added some phaser, tremolo, and reverb. I added a boomer from the loops library, then a crash to start off the drop. I went back to the loops library to find an instrument that I wanted to manipulate into a heavy bass. I pitched it down to match the key, then started messing with low cut EQ in hopes to automate something that would get a cool sound. I added some speed up and slow down time, and then some ring shifter. Just a quick note, I'm messing around quite a bit and experimenting a ton, even though I cut most of that experimentation out of the video. After I got something that I like, I eventually automated the EQ. Next, I added phaser, scan vibrato, and Bit Crusher to modulate and fatten up the sound. I bounced it out and cut it up into eighth notes with a fade in and fade out time. And then I added some fat effects and echo that I eventually turned down a bit. I organized the different chunks of that audio file into a rhythmic sequence that was acting as the main bass in the drop. Next, I wanted to work on other background elements of the drops, and I thought some downsampled yoys would be cool. I started with the ES2, picked a preset, added a Bit Crusher for downsampling, and then added some fat effects. I went back to the ES2 to turn the glide up in order to make that classic yoy sound. This was in legato mode. I had one MIDI note start super low, and then the next one starts super high almost immediately after the first note. I bounced this out and put it on every downbeat of the drop. Then I made another sequence of notes for the same instrument that had the pitch starting higher and then coming down. I bounced it out and put each clip on the upbeat. I put the yoys in a track stack, cut off the low frequencies, and added scan vibrato, echo, and reverb. Next, I had that same instrument patch, but I wanted to make a lower sounding bass instrument, so I bounced an F note in place so I can manipulate it. I added some speed up and slow down time, cut it into quarter notes, and cut out the super low frequencies. After making some small rhythmic tweaks, I added scan vibrato and fat effects to brighten up and fatten the sound. I wanted to add a background screech for the drop, so I went right for the FM section of the retro synth, and then added some fat effects, and then eventually added some vibrato. I adjusted the glide as I plan on having the Screech glide. Then I added some scan vibrato and EQ to cut out the lows and turn down the highs. Next, I added some bit crusher to fatten the sound. Then I worked on the gliding pattern in the MIDI editor. After some tweaks, I went back to the main bass and tried to fatten up the sound by adjusting the drive of the bit crusher. If you've been wondering why I've been cutting out all the lows basically on every single instrument, it'll all make sense now. I'm adding my sub bass preset, which I have a tutorial on, and I don't want any other low frequencies interfering with it. At first I made an only quarter note sub bass, but then I adjusted the sub and the sub topper bass to match up with the main bass. The best sounds I get are usually from layering multiple sounds together. I wanted to add a plucky arpeggio, so I went right to the retro synth. I didn't want the notes to ring out for too long, so I adjusted the amp settings. Then I made a MIDI pattern in F minor. I cut out the lows, then added scan vibrato and ensemble to widen the sound. I made some tweaks with the retro synth, then added bit crusher to fatten it up. Next was echo and reverb. I ended up liking the sound so much that I wanted to have it in the mini buildup as well, so I ended up automating a filter to enhance tension before the drop. To add even more complexity to the drop, I added a voice recording of me yelling "hey" on the offbeat, "hey, hey, hey," and then I fattened it up with bit crusher, "hey, hey," pitched it 3 semitones down, "hey, hey," and added some reverb. "Hey, hey, hey, hey." Bass fills are a great way to make your drops better, and I took a pretty unorthodox approach to the one that I'm making right now. I took a vocal sample from Apple Loops, weird I know, and fattened it up with bit crusher. I EQ'd the sample, messed with some automation possibilities that I eventually programmed, and then pitched it down an octave. Next I added fat effects, ring shifter, and scan vibrato. I added more bit crusher to fatten it up even more. Then I bounced it out and chopped it up into quarter notes with a fade in and fade out that were eventually changed to speed up and slow down. I picked one of the chunks of that overly processed file and made a chromatic 4/8 note riser with it. I added fat effects, scan vibrato, and I eventually pitched it up an octave. I fattened up the bit crusher, cut out the lows, and used the directional mixer to make the mid-lows mono. I added some sub, adjusted the pitch, and then added some reverb. The next bass fill I wanted to make was a laser, and it's pretty easy to do that with the ES2. I took a preset, adjusted the router target to the pitch of all 3 oscillators, and had the source be LFO2. I turned on and messed with oscillators 2 and 3, and then added fat effects to make it sound chubby. I cut out the lows and added scan vibrato and ensemble. I changed the wave from triangle to saw to make it hit a little bit harder, and then I adjusted the cutoff. Then I beefed it up with a bit crusher and then added some echo and reverb, but EQ'd the lower frequencies out of the reverberation. After all this nonsense that I did in sound design, I went back to tighten up the drums. I EQ'd a little bit of low end from the kick and then fattened it up. I made 2 different kick tracks, one for the main kick and one to go under the snare and clap. I EQ'd the highs out of that one so it wouldn't compete with the highs in the snare and the clap. I added some risers to the build-up and towards the end of the drop, along with a white noise sweep at the end. And my mouse disconnected, which was fun. Anyway, I made a silent MIDI track that had notes anywhere that there was a kick, and I started my inefficient method of sidechaining. After that and some other minor adjustments, here's the track. So anyway, I hope you like the track. For a real track that I'm making, I'd probably spend a lot more time on it, but with the 2 or 3 hours that I put into this track, I'm actually very happy with the way it came out, especially that I used some very unorthodox ways to make some of these instruments. Anyway, if you like this video or if it helped you out, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or video suggestions, be sure to leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, or check out my other DJ videos, original music, or DJ live streams, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot.